Hi there, this is my review of this Samsung American style fridge freezer. This is the silver version. It's a kind of satin finish stainless steel style. Very sleek, simple design, nothing too fussy on it. Simple touch panel that's built into the door there. I really like the plain, simple, clean look of this. If you've had stainless steel appliances before, you'll know that they have a tendency to pick up fingerprints. This does pick up the odd fingerprint, but it's very easy to wipe clean with a soft cloth. The fridge side, as you can see, really strong, sturdy door. Lots of space in there. I think it's nearly 400 cubic litres, but don't quote me on that. But coming from standard fridge freezer to this size, I really notice just how much more space we have with the American style fridge freezer. Very solid, sturdy build. The door, as you can see there, really solid, as are the shelves. One thing I did have concern about was how deep these shelves were and whether taller bottles would wobble around, but really no movement at all. It feels really solid and well made. The dairy box is at the top, and I think that has to stay at the top because of the shaping, but all of these can be removed for washing. You get your egg holder there as well. Inside the fridge you get 4 removable toughened glass shelves and lots of options for rearranging the height to suit you. I don't know if you can see, but on this shelf here you have a lip of about a centimetre, just over a centimetre deep, so it's a great spot for a great shelf for keeping your uncooked meats on. So if they drip, it's all contained within there and very easy to clean. At the bottom you've got not one but 2 salad containers, salad drawers. Again, really solid, sturdy, well made. Quite a generous size as well. One thing I should mention is that although obviously the shelves are not as wide as you would get on a normal fridge freezer, they do feel, to me anyway, compared to our last machine, they do feel a bit deeper. And this fridge freezer is a bit deeper than the standard fridge freezer, so it's worth sort of bearing that in mind when you're taking your measurements, that it may stick out a bit more than you're used to. You've got a bottom salad drawer as well. We've got bottles in there, but you can keep obviously anything you need to in there. Everything seems to be removable and clean, so easy to clean. One of the things I really like about this is the really long, large light at the back. Just close that. That's the door alert, and I'll get to that in a second. But it has this very generous, lengthy light at the back, so it's really well illuminated. Which you really notice if you open the fridge at night in the dark. That door alert, which you just heard beeping, goes off when you've had the door open for a little while. If you've ever come home and found that you've left the fridge door open and the food inside is a bit warm, you'll be grateful for that, although it seems a little bit annoying. It's a handy thing to have, I think. The fridge side is slightly narrower than the fridge side, but lots and lots of space in there as well. You get 3 removable toughened glass shelves, and again lots of options for arranging them how you see fit. At the bottom you've got 2 drawers here as well, mirroring the fridge side. I personally like having drawers in my freezer, but you can remove those 2 drawers and you get a shelf you can put in there instead if that's your preference. Personally I like having drawers because I think they sort of, you know, for things like frozen peas, which have a tendency, for me anyway, to escape, it's nice to keep them contained in a drawer where you can sort of keep everything under control, keep those bags of small frozen things like peas and carrots in one sort of contained area. One of the things I like about having so much shelving, although it's not as wide as in a standard fridge freezer, because you've got more of it, it just enables you to keep track of what food you've got in a bit more. You can organise it a little bit better and you can see it better. I was used to a freezer on a standard fridge freezer with 2 shelves, and sometimes looking for things, I had to take everything out to find what I wanted, which would, you know, quite often be right at the back of the freezer. With this, obviously, you can sort of space things out, you can find things more easily, and I think as well, see what you need to buy more easily. You've got 2 shelves in the door as well, both really sturdy shelves there. And then you've got, here at the top, your ice maker. This is a machine that requires plumbing in. It needs to be plumbed into your cold water drinking water supply. Once it's plumbed in, assuming that you switch the ice maker on, you have an option of switching it off. But when it's switched on, it will continually make ice in a little tray up here. When it's ready, it will tip it into this ice bucket here. There's that door alert again. The sound of the ice tipping inside into the bucket it sounds exactly as you'd imagine it would sound, but it is something that might sort of startle you if you're not used to it. So be prepared for that. I did see some people online talking about the fact that these ice makers can be quite bulky and take up quite a lot of space, but to me personally, it's such a roomy freezer, really roomy freezer, that this really has no bearing. You've still got so much space. The fact that this is there is irrelevant. There's a really nice long light in the back of the freezer here as well. So the freezer's illuminated as well if you're poking around there in the dark at night looking for an ice cream. So the front controls, I'll move this so you can get the best view I can hope to show you. It's a touch panel. You may not be able to read them, but you've got a power freeze option. That's great for if you've been shopping, your frozen food's in the back of the car, maybe you're sort of stuck in traffic, and although it's still frozen and safe, you're worried that you want to get it sort of frozen as quickly as possible. Chuck it in, press the power freeze button, and that gives the freezer an extra boost to get that shopping back to frozen solid. There's a vacation button. To be honest, the manual's really vague on what it is, so I'm making the assumption that what happens is when you're going away, you press the vacation button and it registers that the doors are not going to be being opened and closed while it's on that setting, so it can go into a lower power mode. But that's me completely guessing because the manual was really vague. It just said, oh, there's a vacation button. So again, I think that's what it's for. I can't be sure. You've got a freezer button, and if you just tap it, it's very simple to operate. If you're used to an old fridge freezer which just has a dial, don't be put off by this because it's extremely simple to operate. You just tap through to get to the temperature you want it on. I had it on 19, so I'll put it back on that. And once you've got it on the setting you want it on, you just stop pressing. Simple as that. The fridge and the freezer are independently controlled. You've got a child lock option, which just requires you holding down the fridge and the vacation buttons at the same time for 3 seconds. So that stops little fingers, turning your fridge or freezer up or down. And you can deactivate that exactly the same way. As I said, it's got the water dispenser. Once it's plumbed into the cold water, you've got cold water on tap. If you've got the ice maker switched on, it will make ice for you. You can switch it off at any point when you're happy with the amount of ice you've got. Incidentally, if you don't want to use the ice maker, you can take this big bucket off and you get an alternative shelf that you can put there instead. So the space won't be wasted if you don't want to use the ice bucket. I'll just show you this working quickly. The ice maker has 3 very simple settings. I'll show you the ice because obviously that's a bit more interesting than just showing you water coming out. You have the ice off setting, and then you have cubed ice or crushed, and then you press it off again to deactivate it. So let's go for crushed. I always put it into an empty glass, and I find that it's actually a little bit better to use something which has a larger lid around the top, and make sure you put it right at the top. Otherwise, when you're doing crushed ice in particular, it does have a tendency to ping out at different angles. Sometimes, this is the crushed ice, sometimes the ice cubes when they've been made can get a bit stuck in there, very rarely, but so you might have to wait a little while like I had to then to get your share of ice out. But a great thing, and if you're wondering yourself whether you really need an ice maker, really I just think about how often you entertain or how often you have cold icy drinks in summer and how often you find yourself making ice. And if you do find yourself making ice a lot, you will really appreciate having the option of having ice that simply and that quickly. I really like that option. So overall, I really find it very hard to find fault with this machine. I think the only thing, and this is really picky, that I would like to have in here that isn't here is a wine bottle holder, but that's because I had one in my old fridge freezer, and I did find it quite useful. But that is, as you can tell, really picky. I think there's a lot of attention to detail with this machine. I love the long light. I love the fact that pretty much everything seems to be easy to remove to clean. Everything feels really solid and sturdy. Nothing feels flimsy or badly made in this. And I feel like there's just a lot of attention to detail. I also really like the simple design. I don't feel like any of the options, even that vague vacation option, I don't feel like any of those options are unnecessary. I'm not a fan of lots and lots of programs, because I usually do find that some of them aren't really, necessary. But all of these are. And I think it's a great looking machine, and one that's, oh, the other thing as well, it's really quiet. It's a really quiet machine. So overall, I really like this Samsung American fridge freezer, and I can't find fault with it. The faults I can find are really tiny, so I absolutely recommend it.